Bush Ninja, welcome to my medicine blanket. Today I want to talk to you about my favorite plants for anxiety and depression. Something that I've struggled with throughout my life, something that a lot of people struggle with throughout their lives. And you know, with the situation we're in, I think we're all kind of needing to hear about this. And so I want to tell you some of my favorite plants and the experiences I've made with them. This is by no means a comprehensive list and is my own personal experience. So it's not to treat or recommend anything for you, but you may want to try these things and make your own experience. So I'm gonna just zoom you over here whoosh, to my little table that I created and start talking about some of these incredible plants that can really help you in different ways for anxiety and depression. Now, some of these plants are going to help you to relax your body, or they might have a upliftment or euphoric capabilities, or they'll be anti-anxiety. And so to start off, I want to share, first I just have to say, everything that I work with, I always put so much energy into the sourcing of them. I try to get the best stuff I can from like authentic people. If I can know the grower or be very closely linked to the farm where it came from, that is very, very important to me. So the first one that I'm really excited about is this. This one comes from my friend in Fiji. And you may know what it is. It's called Kava. Kava is a root from the pepper family. And it has a powerful muscle relaxant property. And if you make a brew out of this, you would drink it and it will actually cause, relaxation to occur. And I learned something really neat about it recently, and very interestingly, that the kava lactones, the active ingredient, are actually more soluble in fat than they are in water. So you see a lot of kava bars coming up nowadays. And, what I'd like to see at these kava bars is a cappuccino, a cappuccino of some kind that's got, some kind of fat in it, some kind of lipid, oil, cream, nut fat is fine, but I think it might absorb more into the body. But my dear friend and mentor, Bob Lindy, instructed me that that actually makes it really good for salve. So I'm gonna be putting some of this kava into my salve. Now, like I said, I like everything to be special. So this is homestead, forest grown, freshly harvested kava from my friend Victor in Fiji. There's a picture of him. And I think it's so important, like I said, the sourcing of this stuff. This was just picked in February. Like I said, it's the premium quality. I do offer it for exchange, but it'll never be as cheap as the cheapest thing you can get. And then I just love this picture of Victor. Real family folk helping a family farm. It's not big industry. It's real people doing real stuff, just like me. And so kava is getting more and more popular in my area of Southwest Florida. Kava we've got the highest kava bar per capita, and these are non-alcoholic bars where people can go and they can have a beverage that does have an intoxicating effect. It is a sort of drunkenness if you drink enough of it, but without being alcohol, which is kind of neat. And then, so that's the first one, Kava. And the next one I want to talk to, it sounds very similar. It's Kana. Now, so funny, and the only reason I can think that Kana hasn't blown up yet is because Kava and Kana sound so similar. But this is a plant from South Africa. In fact, here's a picture of it. And one of the most amazing properties about this plant is that it's a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So I love the title, Chewing on Happiness. This is a plant that's been used since the dawn of humanity by some of our oldest peoples, the indigenous peoples of Southern Africa. In fact, here's another page on it. Beautiful little flower. It's a succulent. Scaledium tortuosum is the Latin name. But I just want you to see this. This plant is likely to have been used by the Khoisan as mood-altering substance from prehistoric times. Traditionally prepared, dried plant matter is chewed or smoked or powdered and inhaled as a snuff. In high doses, it can cause euphoria, but it does not cause hallucinations, and no dependency has been found, even after years of habitual use. One of the many traditional uses that has been recorded is as a replacement therapy to wean alcoholics from alcohol. So this plant, I call it a gentle yet genuine euphoria when you work with it. I love it. It really helps me out, especially if I'm upset or if I've had an argument with somebody. But the neat thing about it is how it works with something like addiction is that addiction is very much related to serotonin. We take a thing that makes us happy, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's whatever you're on, and that's serotonin that's releasing in your brain. And so that's what the feel-good feel is. And so what this does is it doesn't cause you to release any extra serotonin in your brain. It just helps what you naturally release stick around a little bit longer. The analogy I like to use is that your brain is like a leaky toilet. Everybody can kind of laugh at that. Naturally releasing a little bit of serotonin at any time. You know, you're having a good day, a little bit more flows in, and this doesn't affect the release mechanism. This doesn't flush the toilet. What this does is it just narrows the hole at the bottom of the bowl. So it's not gonna cause harm like some of the drugs that do cause you to release your serotonin into your brain and can have that serotonin high, and that's what people are seeking when they take those illicit pharmaceuticals. But this is a completely natural, non-habit forming thing because it doesn't affect the release mechanism. It just helps retain it in your brain. It has a lot of neat properties, and I definitely recommend you look it up and research more and contact me if you're interested. Now, I love to show books because, you know, you can all read things online, but this is a little bit more legitimate information when you find it written about in peer-reviewed or at least supported and published information. And so this is a really neat plant. Of course, the next one is something that you've all probably heard of before, and this is cannabis. But this is not cannabis that has THC in it. This is actually hemp. This is hemp flour. These are CBD flowers. And anytime you're buying anything like this, you want to make sure you get a certificate of analysis that shows that this is in fact federally legal hemp flour that has very high CBD, but undetectable amounts of that delta 9. See, less than 0.05% delta 9 THC. And so this is something that I've been working with recently, traveling to Vermont and working on a farm there, and having a better interaction with using cannabis medicine that doesn't have THC, because THC really can cause a lot of anxiety for people, and it's not everybody's medicine. But CBD, especially if you used to like to smoke and you can't do it anymore because of the anxiety and how it affects you, or, you know, all the other reasons, this is actually really nice, and it tastes really nice. It has that taste that maybe you're looking for. But, you know, a lot of times before, especially I started working with CBD flower, there was the first plant. It's a really powerful ally of mine, and here's a leaf of it. This was the first plant that really ever spoke to me. And this is the leaf of a passion flower bush. It's a vine, actually. It grows into a pretty bushy vine, but it's definitely a vine. It's got these trilobe leaves. Now, Passiflora is my favorite fruit as well, the passion fruit, but I would just take this and dry it, and I put it in my smoking blends. And what happened to me when things got really hectic in my life and things fell apart is that something happened and things fell apart, like I said, and changed my whole life structure. And I was having extreme anxiety attacks. I'd pretty much hit rock bottom. I'd lost my dream job. I'd been evicted from my house for no longer having a job. And I didn't have a lease or any protection. And I didn't even have any ganja to smoke. It was a horrible tragedy in my life. It really was. And something told me to take this, which I had read about being used as tea and in tincture, both forms of which are very effective. If you're not one to smoke things, make tea out of this or tincture it in alcohol, and I've got a video on how to do that. It's really simple, but I just dry it and I mix it in my herbal smoking blends, and I want to introduce it to you because I have it over here. This is my yard, and I just recently planted some of this around the family farm here, or homestead, and because I'm excited to have it for future medicine making. And so my mom and I just placed it over here by this trellis, and this is what it looks like. This is Passiflora. I believe this is Passiflora incarnata, but it's the one that gets the purple fruit that are absolutely delicious and divine. Other places it's called grenadilla or maracuja, but it's all this, and it grows up beautiful, beautiful. It has the most incredibly beautiful flowers, which you may have seen before, but I definitely recommend you type that in and look at them. But once this grows, it's gonna go all the way up over the trellis, and I'll have an abundance of it. And that'll be really great. And this is probably one of my most used medicines and one of my biggest tips for people to learn about when they're specifically treating anxiety. I'll tell you, I had a situation when that all happened, and it was like I was having panic attacks. And she told me to smoke her, and it was like a pair of scissors came and cut the rubber bands right off my chest. I could breathe. Nothing was okay. There was no high associated with it. There's no THC or anything that intoxicates you in this plant. It is a very mild MAOI action, which is a type of antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and oxylytic is another word for that. And so this one, though, this is one of my strongest allies, and I love it for all the reasons. It's got the most beautiful flower. The fruit is incredible and delicious, and it travels really well in your pocket. But the medicine, this is really amazing medicine that's helped a lot of people. So I just wanted to share with you, those are my 4 favorite plants for anxiety and depression. Go back over to the blanket space here. Remember, we've got Kava, which that one came from Fiji, but it's all over Polynesia. We've got Kana, which is from South Africa, Psychelidium tortuosum, which is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. We've got cannabis, which you have to work with. That's strong medicine. People forget how strong cannabis is, but remember how strong it can affect you while being so safe for consumption. Opium, for example, will certainly intoxicate you and help maybe with your anxiety and depression, but you can overdose on that. Oh, and I wanted to show you last, this is how the Kana, so I tinctured it. And actually what I'd done is I had tinctured it before, and this was like leftovers, and I re-ran it. So this is like a second pull that I've done, and it's in Everclear. And then I put it in a little dropper bottle like this. And then what I'll do is I'll take that little dropper bottle, and I can either just put some straight into my mouth, or what I like to do, if I'm having another of medicine that I enjoy sometimes, I'll just put it in a drink, like in a beer. Now, you don't have to put it in alcohol. You can put it in water or tea too. This is really effective. You can also make tea out of the herb itself. And so I enjoy this. It helps keep me light. It doesn't have like a high associated. It doesn't hit you strongly in any way, shape, or form. But it is a really delightful and wonderful anti-anxiety, uplifting medicine. Now, the story I like to tell about with Kana is that at one point I had a girlfriend, and it was actually, of all the things I carried, this one was one of her favorites, and she loved it because how much it helped us when we would have a fight. And we would maybe have a big fight, and it's after the fight, it's over, it's resolved. And maybe it wasn't a big fight. Actually, the one I'm thinking of was an accident. It was both our faults. It was neither of our faults. It happened. And, the next day, we were all both kind of stuck in our gunk around it and just feeling kind of angsty. And, I offered us some of this, and it was like a mantle was lifted. It was like a cloud, broke and the sun came through. And we were going to go back to loving because the issue was done, it was over. And so this is a really, really beautiful medicine, especially in this time when we're all like trapped in rooms and houses together and we got to deal with people that we don't always want to have to deal with all the time. I really recommend this I can't make recommendations. I recommend it for myself. So you all got to be careful. And the only contraindication is to not take it with pharmaceutical antidepressants because it is an SSRI. The other thing that happened just the other day is I had a disagreement with my dad. It got heated, they were shouting and slamming, and I stormed out, and thank goodness, later we apologized. He apologized first, which doesn't always happen, but it did happen, and I got to give him credit for that. And then later on, I was like, hey, why don't we try this? My stepmom had made us some margaritas to also help kind of break the ice. And that's the 5th untold medicine. We're not gonna touch on that, but I think you all know margarita medicine. And anyways, I put a squirt in to that, and it actually, I feel like a little bit just makes the biggest difference, and especially if people anecdotally have actual chemical imbalances in their brain, this can really be helpful for a lot of folks. So it's my joy. I think that this Kana is going to be the next CBD. I think it's just the most incredible and exciting stuff. It elevates the mood and decreases anxiety, stress, and tension. You can read all about it, and you can contact me if you want to learn more or find out about obtaining any of these plants. But I really appreciate you listening and watching this, because this one means a lot. This is a good one. So these are my four favorite plants for anxiety and depression. That's the Kava, cannabis, and Passiflora. And I thank you for watching. And we'll go back over to the Bush Ninja design and say, if you really like this, you know, you can leave a tip. I've got Venmo and I've got Cash App, and they're just both Bush Ninja. And PayPal is bushninjabotanicals@gmail.com. And I hope you're all staying light and happy and getting by and staying healthy. And I love you. Take care.